Hello and welcome to my best settings guide for Stormgate. Let's get right into it, starting off with our video settings. I have my display mode set to borderless windowed. You'll probably get better performance if you use full screen. However, I alt tab a lot, so borderless windowed works the best for me. Your frame rate limit on your menu doesn't really matter. That's personal preference. I have it set to 144 FPS. Your frame rate limit in game does matter. You want that as high as you can go. However, I don't have it set to unlimited because ever since people's GPUs got fried when people were playing New World, with new unoptimized games that I'm not sure about and a lot of people haven't played, I always limit the frame rate as high as it can go, just in case it decides to fry my GPU. So moving on to our graphic settings, I have them on ultra right now because I'm just enjoying the game. But if you're ultra competitive and you want as many FPS and you want to be as responsive as you can go, turn that bad baby down to low, and that is what you're going to want to do for sure. With VSync, I can't turn that on or off just because I'm not full screened, so I will leave that off anyways. Brightness, I would leave at 100. I don't know why that was up to where it was. I think it was because I was testing it out. Next, with your anti-aliasing method, I have it on FXAA. It's the fastest, whereas TSR gives you better results. However, fast is better, want more FPS. So you can even turn this off if you want even more FPS. So something to note. Next, with NVIDIA DLSS, I haven't been using it. My computer personally doesn't need it. However, I have heard in the Discord that DLSS can really help you if you're having performance issues. So, if you're having performance issues and you have an NVIDIA GPU, consider testing out NVIDIA DLSS and actually let me know how it goes in the comments below. I'm really curious to see how it's been helping people. So moving on to our sound settings, there's not much I would change here. If you're ultra competitive, you can consider turning off the music volume just so it's not another thing distracting you, taking you away from the game when you're in like a competitive match. And you could also turn off like voice volume too. But other than that, I wouldn't change anything. I think it's all just fine. I am messing around with the 3D headphones. Basically, it's binaural audio, and it gives you spatialization so you can hear the location of sounds more precisely, including above, below, and behind you. And basically, it's recommended for use with stereo headphones only. I have been turning this on, and I think it's useful when you're like in the game, you can hear where sounds are coming from. So I like it so far. It can be buggy in some games. I haven't experienced that in Stormgate yet, but something to note, I'm testing it out. I would suggest turning it on for now, but it's sort of up to you. Next, with high dynamic range audio, I have this turned off. This is for theater stuff. And then display subtitles. I mean, you can have that on if you want. I don't. I like as much screen space as I can. Moving on to our gameplay settings. Edge scroll, obviously on, that's how I like to scroll. Smoothing, definitely off. Invert drag scrolling, I guess that's personal opinion based if you want that or not. Lock mouse to window, this is really just important if you have dual monitors. So it doesn't really matter, I have it on anyways, but I don't have two monitors. Next, show flying unit elevation. Selection base seems to be working just fine for me. I haven't really changed this at all. Show requirements, unmet only. Not really needed, honestly. Let's go with control groups. I have them hidden. This is because I don't want them taking up space on the right hand of my screen. I know what are in my control groups. I don't really have to see it to know what's in it. And this can come with practice. If you want it on, I would say probably put it to unclickable. You should be using your hotkeys to select a control group. Don't click over on the edge of the screen to get them. And then moving on from there, automated control groups. I'd say if you're trying to be really competitive, I would turn these off and practice without it as a sort of a clutch. However, I do have a reason to have this on, and for more casual players, which is probably the majority of the player base, I would suggest leaving this on, and I'll explain why when we get to mouse and keyboard. So automated control group indicators, you can leave that on as well. That's fine. These you can leave as is unless you want the minimap on the left-hand side. That's a personal preference sort of thing. Finally, getting to our hotkeys. So I'll make a separate video on this as well, but in this video, I will go over them quickly. So the reason I have automated control groups on is basically your entire army gets added to 1, and then I think ground units get added to 2, and then air units get added to 3. Basically, we're not going to use control groups 2 and 3. I have them set to 8 and 9 because I'm planning on not using them. However, with control group 1, I will use it every once in a while. This is turning into our all army hotkey. However, the special part about this is that we are able to remove units from the all army hotkey. So like in AoE 4 or StarCraft 2, using the all army hotkey makes it really hard to harass with units because it pulls all of your units together, even the ones harassing. What this allows you to do is with control group 1, if you have your all army and you have specific units harassing, you can remove them from your control group one and have an all army hotkey where stuff is still added, but your harassment groups are on different hotkeys. So this is extremely useful and can only happen really in this game. So I really like using this. I think this will be great for casual players, and maybe even some competitive players will use this as well. And the way we have our other control groups is I have 4 through 10 on 1 through 7, and basically you're going to do this exact same thing for the set control group, the add to control group, and the steal from control group. And basically all of those will be like that. And then for select all army, I just put it on P. It's a, you're not going to use the select all army hotkey because the space bar becomes your select all army hotkey. So basically I put it on a key that I'm never going to use. So these, I'm not exactly happy with the select idle worker on I. I'm not sure. I may put this onto one of my mouse buttons eventually, but that'll be more for my hotkey video. I'm not exactly sure. I is just sort of too far on the keyboard. I might change it to U or like G or something. So the macros are all fine. You can leave that as is. I like the grid hotkeys for sure. And then on the focus jump locations, these can be really important. You can put one on like your different bases or where you think a fight will go down. So definitely use these. Unfortunately, I have a 60% keyboard, so I'm probably going to be putting these on like mouse buttons or something. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do. But with the 60% keyboard, I don't actually have my F1 through F9 keys. So these aren't very important. Tab is really good for your change focus group, so you can control your casters. However, generally you'll probably have them on their own hotkeys as well anyways. And then these are just your grid hotkeys. And yeah, at the very bottom, we have our top bar, row, and column ones. These are going to be your abilities that use energy, or if your Infernal's Shroud or Animus at the top. These hotkeys suck. It's really hard to hit control and then like C, X, C, and V, at least for me. However, I tried changing them, and no matter what you do, it has to be control plus something. I think like Alt plus all of these, like Alt Z, Alt X, Alt C, Alt V through G and H would be a lot easier to pull off. However, right now you can't do that. It has to be Alt, or it has to be control for some reason. Hopefully they get that changed in a future update. If they don't, maybe I'll try to talk to them and ask them about that. But definitely these hotkeys suck right now. I really dislike having to reach down, because you can either use like your pinky and then you have to move your entire hand down to reach them, or you can hit it with like the side of your hand, but then it's hard to reach the Z and definitely hard to reach the H. So especially for me, I have like shorter fingers, so these hotkeys suck. Those need to be able to be changed, and something that isn't control. But other than that, the hotkeys are good. I like this select all army hotkey where you can remove stuff from, and I'll probably make a separate video on that as well. But anyways, there are your best settings for Stormgate. I hope you found this helpful. Let me know how many frames you gained. And I'll have a bunch of guides coming out this week. I'll have build orders. I'll cast some pro games if I can find them. So feel free to subscribe to catch my future content. I really appreciate all the support, guys. My videos have been doing wonderful. And yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Good luck in your battles today. It's really exciting that Stormgate has launched, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching, y'all.